Hey, welcome to another episode of Let's Animate. 30 animated seconds of Star Wars The Force Awakens. It's the internet talk show that's sweeping the globe. When we last left off, it had swept your grandmother's sewing circle, your uncle's fantasy football league, your father's woodworking craft shop class thing, and now it's taken over your mother's book club wine drinking social get together excuse to not be at home night. Anyway, we worked on this guy. We went from an accidental excited look to a more nervous, subdued. Oh my gosh, OMG, what in the world is gonna happen to Mr. Abrams here as he aggravated Mickey to the point where he's gonna get canned or worse. That's the question, and that's the look that we got here. What we're gonna do again, I was talking about the old Hitchcock. I think I have actually an example of what I'm talking about here. What do I have? A project that no one has ever seen before. Oh, where are we here? Mr. Roman, and what did we call that one? That one was called... Where is it? Oh, it was in another subfolder here, a daily dose. Yes, it was one of the daily doses. And the classroom version. Yes, the classroom version. No. Here we are. And let's mute this so you don't hear the audio. Yeah, that's good. So, right, so this was a static classroom. Nothing was going on really in the class. And what I wanted was to do the old Hitchcock approach where you throw a whole bunch of static things on the screen for the viewer, and then what you do is you just bring up a few little movements to give it life, right? And to make it seem like a much bigger world than it actually is. So nothing is really happening. Nobody's moving per se. And these are all very straightforward looking characters. But, you know, as individual things sort of start to pop up, you know, she puts her hand up, she's got to go to the bathroom, presumably. He throws his paper airplane, you know, things happen, there's a bubble pop. This one is well, I guess both of these guys are the only ones who are truly, truly static. I went down so detailed to the point where you can't even actually see this, but this was meant to be like a bejeweled kind of joke, where is that what they call it? Is it Bejeweled or Candy Crush? They're all the same, right? Or these were just gonna change, right, and have movement in these colors here. And obviously, I mean, in the final product, you can't even really see it, but it is there. I put it as part of my whole idea of. Plus, I mean, there's audio, so there's story being told here. You're not hearing it, but there is story being told here, so it's not as boring as it looks. And it's meant to be boring. That is the joke, part of the joke that's being set up here. Our main character will turn out to be this guy, as you can kind of see from the dreaming that pops up. He pretends he's in space, and it's still a pretty boring dream, but it's better than being in class, kind of static. He's rather be in space, kind of static. But there is audio going on here as the teacher is droning on and on. So the story's moving forward a little bit. It's not just all silence and a poorly drawn paper airplane that's going across the screen. But again, just that idea of keeping something kind of moving and animated while you tell a story in a broader sense. Not necessarily, it's not anime, or it's not even a good quality cartoon where everything is always moving all the time. There's always something, to propel the story forward. Movement is not necessarily the thing that is propelling the story forward. A lot of what's propelling the story forward here in this animation and in most of my animations is the collection of the still images, right? You're getting the idea through a series of still images. Like, hopefully you recognize that this is JJ. We've already set up that we are in Disney headquarters, right? Through this static image. So a series of static images that end up telling the story. This one here is going to be actually, I think, totally static, apart from maybe a zoom in and some whatever kind of free audio I can get. I want kind of like the morning song, do 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 do. Or how does that go? I could whistle it better, but I think it's like a Mozart or a Beethoven. I think. You see it in cartoons all the time when the before the rooster crows or before the alarm goes off, right? That's what I wanted here as it kind of zoomed in. So we're telling a story through the kind of static images, the close-up of the cart, the tracing, all that kind of stuff. And then throw in some movement here and there to make it a little bit funnier, a little bit more engaging, and because it is, in the end, an animation, and that is my purpose, is to bring life to these things. But as we hone our skills, that life is going to be much more reserved. It's going to be much more much smaller pockets of it within the jokes, because the other it's like a 50-50 split, and then actually in some cases it may be more than a 50-50 split. It may be more the story, because again, I am a storyteller. 70% story and wanting to tell the story or the joke. In some cases the story is a joke. Tell the joke, tell the story, rather than just show off the animation, because the animation is not very good. But I digress. Because originally what I had wanted to talk about was actually not even animation or joke related, but futility. I wanted to talk to you about futility. Do you have a moment to listen to a few words about our Lord and Savior, futility? And I was talking about it in the context of the snow and the shoveling I was having to do, and how I had done all this work outside only to have it snow today. And I woke up and I looked out and I saw my vehicle, and I looked out and I saw my wife's vehicle, and I saw all the snow that had built up on it. I thought to myself, what in the world is going on here? It's April 11th, and yet there's snow all over my vehicle after I just shoveled all this slush. And if you've never shoveled slush, it's a special kind of experience, because I guess we'll throw this animation. I used to do this on a loop, and then it looked bad, but it also looked fine, kind of. So I did this all individually before. But yeah, slush it's like a special kind of shoveling experience, because it's so heavy, because it's so non-movable. It doesn't want to move anywhere, and yet you're trying to make it move. So it ends up kind of like really even more. I should have started that one higher. Even more strenuous than you would otherwise suspect, and it's rewarding when it's warm out, because it's like, yeah, okay, it's strenuous, but it's melting, right? The snow is going. As I shovel it out into the ditch, I say, you know what? Yeah, it was heavy, but that snow, that particular shovel full of snow is never going to cause me problems again. And it's not. That's true. The snow that's going to cause me problems tomorrow is new snow. But by the same token, it's like it would have been better if that was just gone. Right, this is how I used to do it. What I would do to make it not look quite so ridiculous is put it on a much slower burn. So draw this out much further so that it's all moving at a much further. Wait, 3/4 of a second and 3/4 of a second. And then it should, yeah. Oh. Again, part of the humor, I mean, it's partially a defense mechanism, to say that a lot of the humor is in how crude everything is, but I think it's legitimate. That's my style, is to just, it gets the point across. The point is to get the story across, to get the message across. This man is nervous and is sweating. Beads of sweat are coming down his face. As you can see, that is the case. He is nervous. His hands are in his mouth. Yeah, it looks ridiculous. That's kind of the point. It's silly. Right? I am not looking for, I am one guy. I am not one untrained guy. I've thought of taking courses, and that may still come one day when the rest of my personal life is not so busy. Eventually kids will not want to have anything to do with me, and I will have a lot more free time on my hands, and work will be a little bit more within my control, and as opposed to having to try to please everybody else. And then once we get to that point and I've got some more free time, I may come back to a more formal training in animation. But for now, I'm relying on my own amateur storytelling ability and my own extremely amateur animation and drawing ability in order to get that storytelling ability across. So he is now nervous and he is now sweating, and we have animated that. Now let's look up here. We said our other session, our end goals for our session was to get this kind of satisfied, and I'm going to rely on your help here, because if there is any other joke that you would rather see in here, then by all means let me know. I will try to sort through all the answers. I will try to give them each, do my due diligence in giving each of them a fair shake, determined to see if it will make this board. But remember, we've got your grandmother's sewing circle, your uncle's fantasy football league, your father's woodworking shop class, and your mother's book wine drinking club. All those people, for all these listeners, all just so caught up in this story and watching these videos and wanting to be a part of these videos. Your comment may not make it on here, but if it's good, it should rise to the top, and I will include it here. For now, let's talk about Luke here. Luke flying a rascal, right? It's this idea of Luke. Maybe it may even be better if just Luke needs a rascal. Luke needs a rascal. Is that better? Is that worse? Is that anything? How about for this one, like Leia's hip replacement? Right, and that should be good enough. Here, you would know what that says, right? Leia's hip replace, yeah, as an Easter egg, as a little nothing sort of one-off. That's probably fine. We'll move Chewie has pups up here because it's shorter. We'll extend it so you can see it. Chewie has pups? Question mark. Luke needs a rascal. Yeah, you should be able. I think you'll be able to get that. This should be underlined as well. How would we do that? We would do that by drawing up a random new layer, and we'll just call this underline. And we'll just do one of these and one of these and one of these. One of these, that's the one. We'll just draw it across here. Get rid of these. Boom. We'll do this. We'll do this. We will do this and this. Nope. This. The reason, yeah. Call that 2. It's just a red, but I think it's just a red like this. I don't know, is it? Drop down the size. But yeah, I mean, that's the futility thing is not something that normally bothers me. I think I've mentioned before, like in the dead of winter, I do a lot of, and I saw this on Reddit too. Someone who actually shared my my view on this, and the Reddit post was something like, someone who will laugh at you for shoveling an inch of snow has never known the struggles of shoveling 2 inches of snow, or but you change the numbers to be more relevant, like 6 inches of snow versus a foot, right? And the thought being that I would, and I share this, I would rather do a simpler task twice than a much more difficult task once. And that's true for me. I would rather go out and like, because like I say, that snow that I shoveled, the slush that I shoveled, it will never come back. There will be new stuff, yes, that just fell today, absolutely. We're seeing that. But that snow that I shoveled is gone. The slush is gone. It is no longer an issue. It's not going to plague me. It is just gone. And that's how I like it. That's what I would rather have. I would rather have the much simpler task being the lighter workload twice rather than the significant work, because I could have been out there and it adds up and adds up, and then you've got a huge problem on your hands. And I would much rather go out and deal with it on an as needed basis. Now, what can we do with a Death Star? What would be the cheesiest excuse me the cheesiest way to make this more futuristic? Like, what's the the joke, that it's 2.0, Death Star 2.0. Do we just put a 2.0 over top? What would you add to make this go faster, to make this more ominous? What would you it's a good question. It's like the speed holes for a car. What is the cheesiest story idea that you would have, that you would change to make the Death Star? They did it anyway in Star Killer Base. Is that what it's called? You'd give it 2 shooting ports, right? Or what would you if you can shoot one mega laser out of here, why not have another one that shoots another mega laser this way, right? Why do you limit yourself to just one mega laser? That's about the best I can think of, unless we put it on like a chain connected to another one. Or we just write over top of it Death Star 2.0. The Death Star also has like a band in here, but I don't know if I can get into that detail. From back here, if you take off that layer, it'll look like a Death Star as soon as I write in over top of it Death Star, right? As soon as I write in here Death Star, excuse me while I check my email on my phone real quick. If I write in there Death Star 2.0, it should be pretty straightforward. Death Star, and then a bunch of enters. 2.0. We'll change the fill color on this to a darker. Okay. And then where's that layer? There it is. Oh, wow, that's huge. And we can just go like that. Death Star 2.0. Is that funny? If you have to ask, usually if you have to ask, it's not funny. But for me, because like I say, I'm so dry, I'm so sarcastic that a lot of the times it's like, by me saying is that funny, it gives people permission to look at the thing that I just did as being funny, and you say, yeah, you know what, that could be interpreted as funny. It's like, well, you know, that's really all I'm going for. As long as it can be interpreted as funny, I don't care if it actually is funny. It just should be able to be interpreted as funny. If you want to think this is funny, I want to give you the chance to think it's funny, right? If you want to think it's funny, go ahead and think it's funny. There we go. I want to put like a lightsaber across here, right across the bottom. Zoom with this like a laser sword deal. And this is going to be very crude just to close out this video, because I do have to stop, because there will be it is lunchtime, and there will be at least one person returning home shortly. So we're just going to do it real quick. This might not even stay. This is just a quick way to end out the video. And luckily we can put a neat little effect on this, actually. That will make it look... First of all, let's get rid of the stroke, right? We don't want that on there. What kind of effect can we put on here? A soft edge or a halo? I can never remember which. Let's go with a halo. No, we'll go with a soft edge. Yes, that's the one. That's nice. Okay. Oh yeah. When I look at this in here, oh yeah, it's almost too soft. If I go to 5. Yeah, to 5. There we go. Even more. Less soft. Make it harder. Down to 2. Oh yeah, there we go. That's the stuff. Yeah, you can't see it. Can I just quickly, without screwing anything up, can I change this to the rendered? No, I can't. Rendered right there. Yeah, it is the rendered one that you're seeing. There's the rendering. It's got a soft edge on it, as you can see. We've accomplished what we wanted to do for this session. We're going to call this session here. Thanks very much. Remember, tell your uncle's fantasy football league, tell your dad's woodworking class, your grandma's sewing circle, and your mom's book club. Check it out. It's sweeping the internet. It's the greatest thing since YouTube. Until then, thanks very much. See you soon.